to Through the Dark Woods podcast, where we recognize that grief is a big part of what makes us beautifully, achingly human. I'm Josiah Tamira Crossley, founder of Dark Woods of Grief, and after over 25 years of walking this path, I believe that major loss and trauma can either break us or break us open. When we can approach our grief with kindness, with support, and with skill, it can transform into our deepest medicine for ourselves and for the world. Most of us aren't raised with an understanding of how to do this, though. Western society doesn't offer cultural context or effective practices for this work, so it can be easy to feel lost in the dark woods. This podcast is designed to be a light in the dark, and it's for two kinds of travelers on this journey. If you're walking through grief yourself, whether from death, divorce, diagnosis, or any of the thousands of ways that life asks us to let go, you'll find companionship here. Tools grounded in embodiment, permission to feel it all without the story that there's something wrong with you. Spoiler alert, there's not. Feeling deeply is a healthy human thing. And eventually, with the right support, you will reconnect with your own innate joy, aliveness, and you'll begin to find your own inner light within the dark. And if you're being called to tend to grief as a therapist, guide, coach, or simply someone who knows this work is needed in your community, probably because you've been through your own grief journey, this podcast is also for you. Because the world is calling for more of us who can hold spaces where suffering can transform into medicine and broken hearts become pathways to deeper connection. So whether you're seeking your own healing or you're seeking training to guide others, you're in the right place. So welcome to the podcast. We currently have at Dark Woods of Grief several programs open for enrollment, including the fall cohort of our level 1 Grief Tending and Ritual Facilitation training. You can learn more about this at darkwoodsofgrief.com/roots-of-ritual. Also, you can find that link in the show notes. If you're somebody who's already holding space for others, you're a therapist, coach, bodyworker, yoga teacher, group facilitator, or you've walked through deep grief yourself and emerged with a calling to help others navigate their own dark woods. Maybe people trust you naturally, you find them coming to you, but you can feel yourself holding back. Maybe you're facilitating groups, but keeping the intensity dialed down, afraid to really open the space because you're not sure that you can hold what might emerge. Maybe you can sense when someone's right at the edge of a breakthrough, but you don't have the tools to help them cross that threshold safely. Maybe you're referring people out when deep grief arises because your training gave you frameworks for clinical support, wellness, or physiology, but you can tell something different is needed here. Different kind of medicine that only responds to the language of the soul. And you're good at what you do, but you know there's another level. You want to cultivate that unshakable presence where you can hold transformation without contracting, where you can trust yourself to meet whatever arises. You're ready for something deeper. You'd love to expand your skill set so you can support people to alchemize their pain and suffering into the medicine it can be. You'd love to go beyond theory and fine-tune your level of presence so you feel confident meeting the moment no matter what arises. You want real, relevant, tangible skills and structures that you can actually use to meet the needs of the folks you're here to help. And maybe you'd love to be held yourself in a circle of other practitioners who aren't afraid of being with each other in grief. Then this training is for you. So definitely check it out at darkwoodsofgrief.com/roots-of-ritual. And as I mentioned, link is in the show notes. So I am super excited for today's episode. Here we go. Okay, so welcome everyone, and thanks for listening today. I'm here today with Aiden Lamb, and I'm so excited to talk to you, Aiden. Welcome. And Aiden, I've known for, I guess, like 4 years now. Has it been like 4 or 5 years? Feels like longer.
And yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Aiden did the first iteration or the first cohort of our grief tending and ritual facilitation training at Dark Woods of Grief. And so we got to spend a lot of time together in retreat. We had 3 retreats that year, and lots of deep work together. And I've just like had such a deep appreciation for Aiden and just what he brings to the space, and just such a considered, reflective human, and yeah, just such appreciation for the work that you do in your community. And I think you came into the training already as a facilitator, facilitating, AcroYoga and fest like gatherings, and like you're really, really a networker and community builder in Edmonton, especially in the queer community. And yeah, and you just have, well, you've been holding circles for a while, right? And you'll talk about that, I'm sure, but you just held your first like bigger kind of grief ritual at quite a large gathering that you uh, created. So thank you for joining us, and I'm so excited to hear what you have to say.
I'm excited to chat with you too. It's been a while.
It has been a
Right.
while, I know. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, tell me about maybe like the process that kind of like led you to getting to this point where you were like, okay, I'm gonna do this on like a bigger scale. I'm gonna do this gathering and bring in a grief ritual. What did it take you to kind of get there since you did the training?
So I think that first off, when I did the training, I was pregnant. So that was like just like a big time of transition in my life anyways. And then jumped into being a parent right away. So that was like its
Huge.
own initiation
No
and,
kidding.
and process. So, and even in that year, I was hosting some smaller grief rituals in my house. I was, yeah, just like on my living room floor, would do like a writing practice and just like have like a little altar set up in the middle of the living room, and would just like do something slightly different each time. And it was open to just like the queer community of people that I knew, and people could just come and show up for free and be in space. And yeah, I was doing that because it felt like it was like really needed in the
Mhm.
community. And then yeah, life just kind of like happened, and I stopped hosting them for a while. And I had always kind of like had a dream of having a bigger retreat for the queer community. I think like especially in the world as it is right now, there's just like a lot of tension,
Yeah.
not only in the community but just like in the world, and especially like most people in the LGBTQ community are like feeling a lot of pressure and have a lot of grief. So it was kind of always my vision to gather a group of people together and do something like the Truth Mandela, where we all sit in circle and like have a chance to feel those feelings together. But that also felt like a really like big and stressful space to hold. Um, just like, yeah, knowing the state of the world, I figured it would be like a very like big emotional journey. And I feel like I needed to like feel grounded and ready to like pull that together. But I think the biggest barrier is just like logistics and like figuring out how to gather people together and what that looks like, and have the time and energy to like put together at least a day long thing, because I don't feel like something like the Truth Mandela is something you can just like do and then leave. Like maybe it is, but when we did it in the time that we had together, we always had the weekends, and it was always like a center point of the weekend where then there was like other things building into it and other things building away from it. And I just like the structure of having time to like build a bit of connection first, and like be able to drop in and then have the grief circle, and then be able to kind of like process the things that came up out of that. So I didn't want it to just be like a short thing. I wanted it to at least be a day long thing. And then last June, I got a job at a retreat center as the executive director. So that kind of gave me some opportunities. And because I already knew that I wanted to create this space, I was able to just like work into my contract right away that I could use this space for my own use a couple of times a year at like a fairly big discount, so that I could like have a space to do something like this. Because like grief tending, while I think it's like completely valid to charge for it, has never been something that I want to like make a lot of money off of. Like it, um, yeah, like I think that it's very valid to like make a career of this. And it just didn't feel like what I needed to do at first, especially as like someone who's learning to hold this space. So, and a lot of the queer community is just like struggling financially, and I didn't want to put like unnecessary barriers on being able to show up in this space. So, yeah, in having a space for a discount, I was able to like give people like the opportunity to come into this retreat at a discount, or if people like weren't able to afford anything, they were able to come for free. So I was able to have like a lot more flexibility around that just because of the venue I happened to like have access to. But yeah.
That's awesome. Good thinking ahead.
Yeah, I'm always thinking like way ahead of everything.
Yeah.
It's changes, you know, but yeah, so I also at the same time had a vision of being able to connect with like a lot of queer parents. As somebody who has like a young child, it's sometimes tricky to be in like queer community because so many of the events are centered around like drinking or like being in adults only spaces. And while there are like some family events throughout the summer, they're still usually not like very connective. They're usually just like drop in, have some fun, and leave. And it can be hard to build connections. So simultaneously through this whole process, I've also been part of like trying to create a queer parenting group. So I was had a vision of like bringing all of that together. And so I hosted an event called Rainbow Threads Gathering, where it was a family friendly event where kids were welcome to like come as they are and parents were welcome to come as they are. And as a part of that space, I also had grief ritual available. So people were able to kind of drop into what they could, which was an interesting way to host grief ritual too, because I've always been like in your retreats where it's like part of a container where like everyone starts together and you have like your opening circle and then you're like building into these processes and then building out of these processes like I talked about. But when you have kids in a space and you have parents and the kids like we're mostly under the age of 7, like everyone has different nap schedules and needs, and the majority of the people are neurodivergent because there's just like such a big overlap. So like trying to get anyone to like come to something regimented and scheduled was just like not going to be possible. So
yeah, nice. Yeah.
so yeah, I built the weekend with like a bunch of different kinds of workshops. And Saturday was like really dedicated to like the process of like grief for the adult portion. And then I had kids workshops running at the same time. So we had about 50 people throughout the weekend. And some people stayed for the whole time. Some people kind of came and went depending on what their capacity was. But yeah, I set up Saturdays so that in the morning I did like a grief writing practice that was like more internal. People did a writing practice and then went out into the forest and just like took their writing into the forest and got some support from nature. And then we had lunch and built into the truth mandala, which had, I think, around 12 people of the group. And we were able to cry together and process together, and it was a really sweet space. And I think I heard from a lot of the people in the circle that they had never been to anything like that before, that they were so used to like crying in their own space and not crying with people. And yeah, I think that there was a lot of bravery and courage in that space too, because we didn't get to create a container in the same way because people were all in and out of things. So people were just dropping in to the space that they could. And yeah, they had to like put a lot of trust in the fact that I could hold that space for them and that they were welcome as they were in that space. And um, yeah, it was really nice to just be able to have a lot of space for people to process together. And then we were going to have an ecstatic dance, but that ended up not happening, and it ended up, I don't think, being what was needed. So um, we had a circle that was made of sticks, and they just like offered that everyone take a stick and like find a place for it to go back into the forest, and people kind of just like did their own thing and drop back into the space however they could. And that felt like what was needed in that space. Yeah, it was really powerful. And I think that even though it was just like a smaller section of the group, the feelings really like permeated through the whole group. Because I think that you can't like have ritual and like intense grief ritual and have that not like ripple out. Um,
Yeah.
even even just like committing to the space and like knowing that people were going to come. Like as soon as you commit to ritual, the ritual starts and the feelings start happening. And there are definitely like people that were processing things before the grief ritual even started and bringing that into the container, knowing it was going to happen. So, yeah, I think it was a beautiful space that was held well by the community. And
Mm.
I get the sense that a lot of people left feeling a lot more connected and lighter from the weekend. And I'm, yeah,
Wow.
excited to see what it turns into.
Nice. That's so beautiful. It's interesting too that you were going to dance, but then you adapted. Because it's interesting how things have kind of evolved last year actually. Because we used to like when we did the retreats, and you came to it was like we used to like really dance hard like after the Truth Mandala, and I've been finding it's kind of I had a friend assisting this year, Kat Wilson, and she just brought in, she's a dance facilitator, and she brought in like a lot more softness than what I used to bring. And like it's been quite incredible to just see how having that kind of more soft, it's still movement, but having it be more soft and kind of is, yeah, it's like, I don't know if it's just because I'm like going through perimenopause, getting older. I'm like, you know what? This is nice, actually, like not like having it be so high energy after. And so, yeah, I think it's like, it's always evolving, right? And it's like, just, I love that you just kind of like adapted to the situation and found another little ritual that worked to help people integrate.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the way that I host ritual and that I've seen ritual often work best is like having a plan, but then also like letting it be flexible because without, yeah, like if you're not leaving space for like feelings to be as they are, for people to show up as they are, then like are you really like doing what is serving the group? So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I 100% agree with that. It's like, yeah, have a plan and then let the ritual kind of let the ancestors, let the moment, let what the energies that are coming help guide us, right? Because if we're, yeah, exactly, if we're not listening to that, then we're just like out of alignment and attunement with the group. So it can be, it can, and that's the fun thing is that the fun and also the kind of stressful thing though, is that you're like, I never know what's gonna happen. So how was that? Talk about the like how you were feeling going into it as like the first kind of bigger ritual that you held. How was it to like even leading up and then yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when I say like committing to a ritual is a ritual in itself, like I feel like it was like a 2, 3 year process of like, okay, I want to hold this space. I already know this is something I want to do, and just like working through that. I think I've also been like working through a lot of imposter syndrome in the last year and realizing that I'm like very capable of many things that I like just like see myself as maybe not capable of, and getting a lot of feedback that like I am capable and like working through those pieces. But I think especially in the like month leading up to it, I hadn't decided what I was doing for a grief ritual yet. I had put a grief ritual on the schedule, but I hadn't like decided what that was going to look like. I also hadn't had the early morning grief ritual in the schedule either because I was leaving it open because I had somebody who was maybe going to do a chat and then that fell through. So um, I was doing a job where I was doing some yard cleanup and just like did like 6 hours of pacing and listening to like my more ritual music and was like, hey, I'm just gonna like clean this yard and like decide kind of like just like process some feelings around this and like see what's needed in this space. And I had been talking to my partner Karis a lot about it too, and just being like, I kind of like feel like I want to do this thing, but it feels scary, and I don't know if like if it's like too big of a thing to like bring into a space where people haven't already like built that container. And I was like, maybe I'll just like do a writing practice or something like that will also be powerful. I just don't know how big I want to make this container for me to hold. And I was like pacing for 6 hours listening to my music, and I was like, I built this whole weekend on intuition. Like I have really like let it go. When I have events, I'm like really usually quite meticulous about like every detail and like planning it all out and like having a schedule, and like everything needs to be like prepped beforehand. But for this whole gathering, I've been very like loose about it and have like found the people I want to facilitate the things, but have been like, I know that there's going to be parents and I know that there's going to be kids. And I know that no matter what I do, it's going to like need to be a flexible space. And also, I want this space to be created by community, not just by me, because it feels different when there's like somebody that's like really taking charge and leading things versus like a co-created community. And I wanted this to be like more of a co-created space than just like a me facilitating space. So yeah, I was pacing for 6 hours and just like trying to feel into what was needed in the space. And I just like kept getting this intuitive thing of like, no, you just like need to do the truth mandala. Like,
Mm.
doesn't matter if you think that like that's too big for the space, it's what the space needs.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And a couple of weeks leading into the event, I was like thinking about it, and then I just like had your voice like ringing in my head for a little bit, being like, "Don't go into grief ritual alone.
Mm.
Like, like don't do it. Like it's not like there's always people who are going to try and like break the container or
Because you were
like
going
do
to be the
something like
only
don't."
facilitator, or?
Yeah, I was just planning on doing it by myself,
Mm.
and I had connected with somebody, um, Kit Sala, who is like an amazing facilitator of many things, and Um, we hadn't actually had like much time to chat, but we've like kept crossing paths. And I just happened to like add them on Facebook, and they were like, "Hey, can I like reach out to you about some of like the ideas I have and that I like need a space for?" And I was like, "Hey, do you want to like help facilitate some things at this thing?" And we ended up having like a chat for like an hour. And yeah, they just like I felt like we were like really vibing in space together. And I didn't ask them at that point. I like sat with it for like another week, and just like kept having the like don't go into grief ritual alone spiraling in my head. And I was like, well, who do I like ask to hold this space with me? Like I don't I don't know like who is like capable of holding this space. I've never like done this with anyone. None of the people even like know what this is. But I just like reached out to them a few days before and was just like, hey, like I am not supposed to go into grief ritual alone. And I know that you hold like grief things and that like grief is like something you're really interested in. And like, would you like if I send you like what the name of this grief ritual is, could you like look into it? Would you be like comfortable like just like being an extra support person if needed? Like you don't need to do anything, just like be an extra person. And they were like, yeah, of course. So yeah, they came, and also we're like, which was good because there was like the kids group happening, and I was like, I don't want kids to come into this container. So then the person facilitating the kids group got Kidsala's number so that like they could like communicate through text if any of the parents were needed. So then they were
Yeah.
just like checking their phone regularly, because I was also like, I've never done grief ritual with kids around. Like
Totally. Yeah.
um so they were able to like have that communication thing so that the parents could also feel comfortable being in that space, being like, if we're needed, somebody will text and we will be able to still like leave this space, even if the kids aren't able to leave this space. So,
Nice.
and then yeah, they offered like a beautiful song at the end of they like came up and they were like, hey, this song is coming through. And I was like, I listened to that song for like half my labor. I love that song. Let's sing that song. So yeah, we ended the grief ritual with this song, and I think that that was like really it was great that they were able to bring that to that space. And yeah, I did feel like very capable of holding the container, but it was nice to just like know that there was somebody else there that if something came up. So yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love it. And I love just even like the intuitive process of like choosing who would be your co-facilitator, because it's so like it has to be such an intuitive process, like it's not necessarily like someone who has all the right training or all the right degrees, or like it's just not like that when we're holding this kind of space. It's like very like, can we attune to each other? Are they a strong enough facilitator? Are they going to be able to like step forward if, something's needed kind of thing? And so that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, and I also like there were quite a few space holders in our space through the weekend. Like we had like midwives and doulas and therapists, and like there were like many space holders in this space. So I was like, I know that if I can't like really hold this space, people aren't going to be able to drop in. Like
Yeah.
I like everybody is also capable of like doing some cross care and like help of each other. But like I need to like create a container that's like really solid so that these people can also feel comfortable like leaning into this space. So another thing I did throughout the weekend, which I got like lots of good feedback on, is I gave everyone little bags like when they got there, and they had little rainbow bracelets in it with like a little note that said like, if you feel like you can hold space for people, put this bracelet on. So then
Mm.
throughout the weekend, if people were feeling like they could be a space holder, they could wear their bracelet. And if they were feeling like they didn't have capacity, they could take their bracelet off. Because I was like, there are so many space holders in this space that are like capable of holding that, but I also don't want them to like have to hold that. So I think that like at every time throughout the weekend, I looked around and there were at least like a few people wearing their bracelets, and it was like almost always different people. So
Nice.
it gave people the opportunity to like step into that mode when they were feeling it, but also like step out of that mode needed to.
Wow, I love that idea. That is so beautiful and brilliant, and just like makes so much sense that you would think of that, because I know talking with you a lot during the training about like, because you're a space holder, and just like how you would often end up like by default holding the space. So of course you would like intuitively know that burden, and that you found a way to like um yeah, let people, and kind of give people permission to like take that on, but without the obligation. Incredible. That's just like speaks so much to me, to like your specific gift that you have, That's really,
Yeah. It was also for me too, because I was like, if I'm not wearing the bracelet, like
yes.
I'm doing a I'm doing a lot of things. I'm not always going to be able to like hold space for everybody.
Yeah. Nice.
So like, yeah, I was like, I like I will definitely like wear this for the evening after the grief ritual because like I've like committed to like being available. But like if I'm not in a space where I can hold space, then I'm also like in space. So
Yeah, totally. I actually love that idea. Even like thinking about when I'm facilitating, when I'm like leading the facilitator trainings, like when I'm leading a retreat for public, I'm just like always on, kind of,
mhm,
and or I go like hide if I need to and have my assistants out helping. But like for the facilitator training, it's like I almost need to do something like that too, where I can, because there's so much happening, right? Around logistics and just, processing, and like I might be processing something at a certain moment. And so it'd be, because it's nice for the people who are needing support as well to be able to be like, okay, who's available right now?
mhm,
I love that. Hmm. Beautiful boundary.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know that I would do that in every container, but just like looking at who signed up, and I was just like, yeah, there's like therapists and midwives, and like I originally was gonna have a couple of people come into the container to be space holders, and then I was like looking around at who was there, and I was like, I don't think I need that. Like,
Hmm.
there, this like almost this entire space is space holders, so like if we can just like collectively. If this is a community event and everyone's supposed to like contribute what they can and take what they can, and this is also like another way we can do that. I don't need to necessarily like have people who are on as available to talk to you.
Totally. No, I love that. I love that. I'm like totally applying it to, because I'll often have like a lot of assistants there too, like in like alumni
Mhm.
stuff like that, but they're not always on also, right? So that's such a good idea. Brilliant. Okay, I'm learning. Yes. Cool, cool. Okay, so yeah, what else? Okay, so yeah, so you kind of went through this whole process of just like, and I love that you were like working outside while you were like kind of in the process of deciding. I've been in my garden so much the last couple of weeks, and I'm like, am I just avoiding my work, the work that I'm supposed to be doing? And then I'm like, no, there's something deeper like there's something that happens when we get in our physical bodies, right? And actually like move energy in that way. So I love that was a part of, I think that's such an important part of ritual process actually, is like
like that, all of that dreaming time that we do that is, can be active. Um, so very cool. And then like what about like leading up to like, as you're in, coming in to the ritual and like, and then versus like kind of as you went through it and started to kind of just like see the process unfold in front of you. I'm just like curious about that. And then the integration, like how was the arc of feeling for you?
Yeah, I think that for me, the most like anxiety and stress always comes in the lead up. Like that's always like my like big time where I'm like figuring out the pieces. And then once I've like arrived, I just like drop in and I usually feel more okay. I think that like the weekend was tricky because like I also had my kid there and
That's a
uh
lot. That's a lot. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
so I was also being a parent and like Jana, my co-parent, was had like committed to doing like most of the parenting, but then also like my kiddo didn't sleep very well. So then there was just like a lot of that. And I had five different childcare people that I had tried to get for the month, and like everyone just like kept dropping out last minute. So
Oh my
we had
gosh.
like we only had the whoever was like the leader of the like kids group, and I didn't have like much support otherwise. I had one person who was kind of like volunteering and like helping out as he could, but yeah, so it's kind of just like on parents to also watch their kids, which was really like not what I wanted, but just kind of ended up being what was happening. So then there also wasn't like somebody that was dedicated to like helping watch our kid either. So it just kind of like made things like a little bit tricky. And yeah, the Friday was like a pretty relaxed day. It's just like arrive, we're having a potluck. One of my friends who was a facilitator was doing like a I can't remember what exactly it was called, but it's like a self-love check-in kind of thing in the evening, and that was like the only thing that happened. So people were able to like drop into their bodies a little bit if they wanted to participate in that or like go sit around the campfire. And it was just like a very quiet um, like arrival so that people could get used to being in the space. And then Saturday morning I started like the the first um yeah, the first grief ritual with the writing practice. And I was really like not worried about that space at all because that was like very similar to what I had been hosting
Right.
inside my house a lot. And it just like it felt like an easy thing to do. I was also like, okay, I'm gonna like facilitate people doing a writing practice. It's gonna be like 5 to 10 minutes of me talking, then they're gonna do their like 7 minutes of writing, which I've taken from you. I don't know why it was 7 minutes and why you decided on that, but that seems like a good amount of time. And then I'm just gonna like send them into the forest. So like
Right.
it wasn't a lot of space for me to hold. It's just like I just want to make sure everyone comes back from the forest, that no one's gotten like lost on the trails, and we can just like do a little quick check-in. But for the most part, it's more of like an internal process. And yeah, so I just had like the morning to drop in a little bit more myself too. I also like while people were out in the forest, went and started like gathering sticks and things because I wanted to create the circle for the mandala. I think that it's really nice to have it like set up with some nature things. So I was like, well, I'll take this opportunity to go collect some sticks and things from the forest that I can like build this with. And I had brought a lot of things from home as well, but that also was like part of the ritual for me. It was like, okay, this forest is also going to like help support this space inside. So I'm like bringing all these things inside. And then, yeah, is it was a bit stressful getting to the mandala because I was also like trying to get that was like the only thing that I had told people was gonna like start on time. I was like through the whole weekend, like nothing is gonna probably start on time, and that's okay. And you can arrive as you want, and like you can come halfway through a workshop if you want, and like that's gonna be okay. But like for the grief ritual, we're starting at a time and we're ending at a time, and we're creating this container together. So I think there was also like a little bit of anxiety around like people showing up at on time. Like everyone was like a little bit like, we all suck at like showing up at a time, and we have to like figure out our kids. And I we
Totally.
had we had like a few of the parents that were like a little bit more and kid people who didn't have kids who were like a little bit more dedicated to watching the kids during that time, who just like committed to not coming to the grief ritual so that like the kids were well watched during that time and people didn't have to worry about it. But I
Yes.
think there was just like a general stress of trying to like get everybody into the space at a time with that.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I was holding like a lot of energy in that sense. And like most people had never done a grief ritual before, had like never done anything like this. So I think that there was like a lot of anxiety of like, what is this going to be? Like, it seems like this is an important thing because Aiden keeps talking about how it's like there's a time and you have to be there, and like it ends at a time, and like kids aren't allowed in this space and you can't come in. So I think there's just like a little bit of like a nervous energy that was also like permeating through me.
Mhm.
And then once we got settled into this space, I think it was also like tricky for people to start the circle, which was like an interesting thing to facilitate.
Mhm.
I feel like because I've been a part of your groups where it's like all facilitators, this is all familiar, people kind of like just jump in back to back and there isn't like a lot of space in between. But there was like a lot of time where the circle was empty.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do I do about this?
Yeah.
Like I also had said in our like very beginning opening circle that like we were going to leave space, just generally speaking, throughout the weekend for things to happen. That like if we were going to ask a question, we were going to like leave time for people to respond. I wasn't like expecting a response right away because some people need time to think and some people like need more space in order to feel like they can like be a part of the space. So I was trying to also be like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like maybe sometimes people just like need some space.
Yeah.
And yeah, there were a couple of times where I was like, do I like call someone out, or like do I say something, or like how do I get people to get into the space?
Yeah.
But the beginning was a little bit hard, and then people started to get used to it. And um, we also did like a mid-circle break, which I had never really done before, but it just like felt like we needed something.
Mm.
So I was like, and people were starting to try and like leave to go to the bathroom. And I was like, it feels like the energy has like gone to a point where like people are feeling like pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I was just it's like, you know what? We're all going to stand up. Everyone's going to like shake out. If you need to pee, go pee. If you need to get a drink, get a drink. We're going to just like take 5 minutes to just like wiggle and just like do whatever needs to happen. And then we're going to sit back down. So we
Nice.
did that. And I think that like after that point, people were like more comfortable going in like one after the other. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. You just have to kind of move the energy a little bit in a different way.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's also like a lot of different like interpersonal conflicts and things happening in the group. So it's just like when everybody is family and everybody has all of these like multi-connected relationships, this is also not just like a space where like a bunch of strangers have come together and
Wow.
like don't know much about each other's lives. This is like a community where people already have like many different kinds of existing relationships. So um,
Yeah. It's the
I
real
think,
deal.
yeah, and I think that people did like a really good job of navigating those pieces. And I also like made sure to like talk about them as we were setting up the circle of like you we're not gonna like talk about anybody in the circle. Like if you can have feelings about people in this circle, but like if you need to like process something, then like that's gonna be done without words. Like we're not gonna like be talking about anybody. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Um,
Yeah. Nice. Well done. Yeah, that seems really appropriate. Like, yeah, let's not no naming names and no like projecting energy at anyone kind of thing. Yeah,
yeah.
sometimes I'll say the like no projecting energy at anyone. I haven't had to say the no naming names, but I could definitely see how in that context it makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Or like talking about something that's like a conflict with somebody else, even if you're not naming names. If they like know that you're talking about them, then like we're just not going to bring them to this space. Like this, yeah.
Yeah,
You can feel your feelings, and also that we have to have some boundaries in order to keep the space feeling like safe-ish, comfortable.
totally.
I
Yeah,
don't think that a space like that is ever fully safe.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I've been using the word safe enough
Yeah.
lately. It's like safe enough, you know. Um, Yeah. And I mean, that is one thing that's amazing about this ritual is that like, and I think even in like in that context, is it's like you can have like such a raw somatic like expression of emotion without needing like you don't have to tell the story or name the name,
Mhm.
you know, and but you can still like really move the energy. Yeah. So that's super cool. Wow, it sounds like you're navigating like, I mean, it's amazing because it's like your first truth mandala and you're like navigating all these kind of like extra pieces that like normally wouldn't be necessarily a thing if you were like in a closed container where there's no kids or like, we're in like holding a retreat for people that were coming from all over, people wouldn't know each other. It's like, wow, there's all these different layers that you navigated. Incredible.
Yeah. And I think that's why I was nervous about it. But I also think that if those layers weren't there, when like it wouldn't have been the same. And like,
Mm.
especially for a lot of the parents, like I said, most of the kids were under 7. So like there were a lot of toddlers and babies around. And like there there aren't very many spaces to grieve in the first place, but there are definitely not spaces for people with like toddlers who need to be with their toddlers most of the time to like be able to be in these kinds of spaces. So um yeah, I think that it was like a really unique opportunity for a lot of people. And I've had like people be like, so like how do we do that again? Like how do we do that more? Because like I like usually don't cry in front of people, and like that just like felt really good, and like everybody was crying with me, and I just like
Oh,
and I'm like, yeah, this this is why I did it. And like I've already committed to doing it again next year. But yeah, we're also like talking about doing maybe like a monthly meetup with parents to like have a chat and like not do a grief ritual, but like just like have a chat about the world and about parenting, and like kind of let the kids all go play. And like a lot of the kids when they were leaving were like, can we like make play dates? Like this person's like my new best friend and I don't want to leave. And like it was just like really sweet to also see that like they were building connections. And yeah, it was
yeah.
a really unique space because like a lot of those kids also don't see families like this very often. Like a lot of the people there like only use their names and not like mom or dad, or there's like some people who have 2 moms and some people who have like only one parent, or like most of the people had trans parents. And just like they're living in a world where like they're not really seeing that reflected in their schools and their daycares and things like that. So um one of my friends like made a lovely song about like different types of parents, and like my kiddo just like loves it. And I'm like, they're only 2.5, but like just like having a song where their family is reflected just is like lighting them up. Because
Wow.
we've been talking for like the last 2 months about how like they don't have a mom, and they're just like so confused because at daycare everything's about moms and dads. And but just to like their other co-parent uses Zaza, and like that was in the song, and they're like, oh, there's like a Zaza in the song, and like sometimes like 2 daddies have babies, and like did you know that? And I'm like, yeah, we've been telling you that for like months. But yeah, I think it
Oh,
was a very unique space in many ways.
yeah, wow, that reflection and wow, it's just like real, real village in a way that you're creating. Also because it was it mostly local people that are
Yeah, I there was like one family from Red Deer, but everyone else was like from the Edmonton area. So
cool.
um yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like more than half the people were like already my friends. So I was like, I'm just like bringing my friend group together to create this. But yeah.
Nice.
And
Wow.
then, yeah, you had asked about integration, and I feel like yeah, that was a tricky thing. And I
Mm,
spent like the next day like laying on the couch and just being drained. And you
yeah.
did like a drop in before we started chalking, and you were like, oh, like your energy. And I was like, oh, my energy feels like so far out there, and I didn't realize that, and I really need to like bring it back. Like I'm not holding the container anymore. And
Yeah.
um
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
I think that there were like a lot of really big things that happened on the weekend, like in my family, but also other people's families, like good and hard and all the things. And just like being able to kind of like come back to myself is a process always. I think also like the process of hosting a large retreat and then like going back to work right away is always like a hard transition. So
Oh my gosh.
um,
Did you go back to work on Monday?
um, my work is pretty flexible. So I did like a little bit of work on Monday, but I mostly took the day off. Thankfully, like part of my work this week has been like planting flowers. So I've been able to like be back out on the land to like kind of work with the earth a little bit. But yeah,
Nice.
that integrating is always a tricky thing. So
Yeah.
I'm still landing, but it's feeling I feel like today was also kind of dedicated a bit to that process. I was like, I know I'm going to be talking to you, and that's going to be like a part of the ritual of closing this. And then I'm going to be talking to Jane later, who had made us such a beautiful video. And yeah, I think that like being able to like come back to other people who understand these spaces is also like part of the like closing of the space.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes, say more about Jane and that connection and then what she brought to the gathering.
Yeah, so I met Jane during uh, um, the the facilitator training that we did together, and Jane is a lovely queer elder, and we had like a really nice connection when we met. And I personally haven't had very many opportunities, maybe none, other than Jane, to like talk to queer elders, and um, most of the people I know haven't either. And I think that there's like its own grief in that, and um, there's there's not like a lot of like mentorship that happens from like elders because it's just it's a very removed thing. I mean, like a lot of people didn't make it to be elders, and um, those who did don't seem to be like very integrated into the community for some reason. I think that that's just true of all elders everywhere, but yeah, Jane did an interview with me before the ritual. I tried to get her to come out. I was like, I'll pay for your ticket. Just come. But it's too big of a trip for her.
Mm.
So I asked instead if she could make a video. So we did an interview on Zoom and we did a recording, and I asked her like a little bit about her life and her love story, and also like asked if she could share words of wisdom to the people of the group as an elder. So yeah, we had like a 20-minute video that we did like a little showing on Saturday night, and one of my friends said it was their favorite part of the weekend, and was just starting to be like, what would Jane do and what would Jane say, like every time a question came up. And
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think being able to like bring her energy into the space and be like, oh, there are like elders who are activists who've been like arrested and who have done this work and continue to do this work and like continue showing up and like are still learning. And she's like talking about how like she's still like learning new things and trying to like show up for community in new ways and like be a part of everything that she can be a part of and like really live life fully. And I think that a lot of people in the group were like, oh yeah, I don't need to like have everything figured out like now. Like, I can keep learning, I can keep growing, like I don't have to stop this. And also like elders exist and I can become an elder. And I think it was just like, yeah, a powerful offering to the group.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Yeah, she's just so precious, isn't she? Like, just wow, what a blessing. Yeah, because it's like, yeah, there is not many elders available, and integrated into this kind of work and this, and let alone like queer elders, especially. So yeah, what a special thing. Yay. That's amazing. Yeah. It's funny. I just watched this comedy skit and it just made, I just thought of it when you were talking about like just having the kids and like your child there and like just all, yeah. And like this skit, um she's like take any situation, like the worst day you're possibly having ever, and she's like, the trick I like to do with my brain is I like add a baby. Like, what would this be like with a baby? And then you take the baby away and then you're like, oh wow, it's actually a really great it's like, because it's so full on, right? Like, I mean, babies are wonderful, but it's like, wow, it really, so like you just did like grief ritual add a baby. Like lots of babies. It's like, wow. Yeah, really amazing.
Yeah, we even tried to like record the song that my friend made, and his kid was like running around, and another kid was running around. And like the background, if we had a video, there's like his partner like trying to hold the kids off, and him just like singing and laughing, and just like trying to like hold the kids off and like also not jump in the fire pit and just like it was like this like if someone was taking a video of like this whole situation, this is basically the weekend. Just like chaos, but like we're gonna do it anyways. And like I think all of the parents left exhausted, but like I don't know, you kind of just like sometimes need to just like try to do it to like build community. And
Mm-hmm.
it was also nice there were some like non-parents there that could also like help with things and help with the kids and just like be integrated. One of the community agreements on the sheet that I had was just like everyone is responsible for the children. Like if you're coming into this space, know that you will be responsible for the children. Like it
Mm.
doesn't matter if you have kids or not. Like kids are our collective responsibility, and like that doesn't mean you need to like parent them, but like we are all watching out for them. So if you see like a kid doing something dangerous, it's like your responsibility. And yeah, trying to just like create a village. And the
Nice.
kids also looked out for each other. Like the older kids started looking out for the younger kids. You know, it's
Yeah.
unique to come into space with.
Oh, you just cut out there for a second. Mm. You there still? Oh, I'm not hearing you. Ooh.
Oh, there you go.
Ah, there you are. Okay, good. You cut out when you were saying it's the kids are all there for each other and it's unique to come into space, and then you cut out.
Yeah, and I noticed you froze, so I just kind of stopped there. But just yeah, the older kids started looking out for the younger kids, and if we're creating village and we're trying
Mm.
to create grief ritual and we're trying to do all these things, I think that kids are often like overlooked in that process. But
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
uh, I'm also like dreaming of like going forward and being like, well, these kids also are going to have grief, and like how do we integrate them into these processes? Like, is there a way to do like grief rituals for kids and like what does that look like? Because they need to learn. Like, so I think that like going forward, that will also be like part of like how do we give the kids space to like learn how to deal with these emotions and be held in community too. So
Totally. No, I love that. And I think it's totally possible. Like I think it's not good to like expose them to our adult
mhm.
expressions, but I think to have like parents all there and holding the space and then having those elements in the center, like how powerful is that? Like kids would be the best at it because it's like they naturally want to like make ritual and like work with elements already. They're already doing it like in the sandbox and in the world, they're constantly
Mhm.
the rituals. So I think I love that. And I can't wait to hear about how you manifest that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, what such an amazing thing because it's like if I think back to my son is graduating in a month, so he's like 18. But like when he was little, especially, it's like it really is the like add a baby metaphor. It's like it is such a hard time, because of the culture we live in where there's no village and no layers of support. And a lot of us don't live around our extended family anymore, especially I would imagine in the queer community, there can be a lot of kind of what's the word, like estrangement and so to be able to like start to build that village in and make space for the grief and like just wow, I'm just totally blown away. Mm, yeah, so cool. Any last things you want to share with folks today?
I'm feeling like maybe somebody needs to hear this. So um yeah, I think that there for me, a lot of my life has been built around intuition and not like necessarily knowing why. I think that I'm someone that like always wants to know why, but like rarely does something good in my life happen that there's like a clear why. But in terms of like grief ritual and doing things like this, I think that yeah, you don't always like need all of the answers of like why you want to do something in order to do it. And you also like don't need to not be afraid. Like I think that most of the people who people look to as like great space holders are like afraid a lot of the time. And I think it's just like the courage to move through that. And yeah, so if you're like wanting to start and be like a part of these processes, or like join Josia's thing, and you like don't know if you ever want to like facilitate, or like I didn't know if I was ever going to want to facilitate anything, and you were just like, just come anyways. And I think that I'm just trying to like live my life a little bit more like that, to like just do it anyways if I want to do it, and it doesn't necessarily need to make sense, because I think that every time I do that, it ends up making sense at some point. Like the pieces all kind of like weave themselves together to get me to a point of like, this makes sense. Like I also have been doing like labor doula training, and I'm like, where does that fit in my life? But I've also attended 3 births and was like a really integral part of one of those births. And like, even if I do nothing else again, like that connection that I have with my friend and the way that I was like, able to show up for them, like that wouldn't have existed if I didn't say yes. And like, yeah, we don't always need to like, it doesn't need to be a career path. Like I think that so much of capitalism is built around like, is this going to be my career path? And if it isn't, then like it's not worth going. But I think that if we're trying to move away from those pieces and like try and build community and try and build connection and build like something different, then we also need to like start stepping outside of those structures, and just like, if you're feeling called to do something, just like find a way to do it.
Yeah, hell yeah. Everything you said. Yeah, because I mean, I think we're going to be living in a vastly different world in a few years. Like things are changing really fast right now. So it's really time to step out of those boxes and those systems and follow that intuition 100%. So thank you so much. This was so inspiring, and I'm just so grateful to get to reconnect with you and just hear about everything you're doing. And I couldn't be more grateful. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for helping me land a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been Through the Dark Woods podcast. Thank you so much for listening today. And you'll be hearing more from graduates of our Grief Tending Level 1 and 2 trainings over the coming weeks. Our 4-month Grief Tending Level 1 training, which begins September 15th, which teaches the somatic skills, ethical frameworks, and ritual structures needed to facilitate this work with depth and integrity. So yeah, we're currently enrolling for September 2026. And these conversations that I'm having with, past students, graduates, people who are now out there practicing the work will help give you a window into what becomes possible when we commit to this path, not just as helpful practitioners, but as living examples of what it means to walk through the dark woods and return with gifts. So whether you're here seeking your own healing or training to guide others, you're in the right place. Thank you so much for listening, and check us out at darkwoodsofgrief.com.